Hi, and welcome to today's podcast. Today, I will be channeling Zabayo, again, the Zeta-Arcturian who has come to me to bring tales of the universe to you. Welcome to 5D Channels and Chats with Rachel Chamness. As a shamanic channel and mentor, I'll be sharing wisdom and healing from higher dimensions through channeling beings of light. You will also hear liquid Reiki shamanic sound healing, channels between intuitives, and discussion on higher dimensional healing and channeling. You'll find links and more in the show notes, so be sure to check them. You can find me at soundwavesheal.com and my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions. It's been a while since I've channeled Zabayo, so I'm so excited to bring him to you. And now I have an illustration of him to show you. So this is the illustration that I had made. This is how I see him with his fedora hat and his little briefcase, his time traveler looking uniform. That's kind of how I see him. It's a really good illustration. I put below who did it for me on Instagram, Ayasha, and it is really cool. So I hope that you like his little his little picture there. And today he's going to talk about a story about what it's like to live in the 5D. So I never have any idea what he's going to say. So let's just bring him through and see what happens. Hello, hello. I am happy to be here once again and to bring forth some information for you that you are wanting to hear. As you know, I like to talk about things in story fashion, and that is how we will do it. As I bring you the tales of the universe, I can indeed bring you a story about 5D living. 5D living isn't always the same. It can be pretty varied on different planets and different places. If you are clairvoyant, you may sometimes see cities that are quite advanced, like your sci-fi movies, and you may also see those that are more natural, for there are many ways to live in this higher vibration, and when you are there, you may choose one. Let's talk about Sidi. She lived on a moon near Sirius as part of the constellation. That is no longer, but this is a wonderful example. Sidi lived by an ocean, so it's pretty interesting that we have one on screen right now. Today, it is not by accident. The ocean here was not as green as yours is on Earth. It is more purple and blue, a violet blue color. And it is clear as can be, as clear as the waters in the most beautiful, clear water on Earth. And I'm giving the sensation of the waves to this medium and to maybe those who can feel it as well. For in this higher vibration, the water is not so dense. It feels a little different. For once you have left the third dimension, the feeling of everything is not so dense. Your body is not dense. You're crystalline or partially crystalline. Your air is different and the ground is different. Everything feels different. Sidi was a being who spent a long time of her life on Sirius in the third dimension and then ascended into the fifth dimension. Her third dimensional reality had been traumatic. There was a great deal of work and very little play. She lived in a city that was very smoggy. And though it wasn't exactly like Earth, these are things you understand, I believe. And she lived for the small vacation she would get each year, where she would go to the beach, sink her feet in the sand, and experience the quiet there. And so, since she desired a time of peace after the 3D, she manifested for herself a beautiful island escape. Here, she would spend hours on the beach. The beach here is different as well. The sand itself wasn't as fine as on Earth, but it had the same silky feeling as fine sand does, even if the grains were a bit larger. And it was more gray or silvery in appearance. And yes, the waters, a violet blue. And there were birds and beings of all kinds, quietly making noise and chittering, but a very peaceful place for her to sit with her thoughts and expand her mind in many ways. And what did she do here? Many times she used her enhanced psychic abilities, as everyone will experience in the fifth dimension, to reach out and contact other civilizations and other places and have conversations with beings from other places, sometimes from the same place, only a distance away. And this quiet island retreat for her would feel like she was the only one there. And this was very restful for her. And yet it wasn't quite where she was. It was her manifestation, and very real to the touch, and very real in every sense and sensory way. And yet, when she was done, she would walk up the beach and pass through a portal back into her own home dwelling that she shared with family. And so, in that way, she had both the experience of being alone, the quiet she craved in her third dimensional life that she carried over, that she wanted to experience, and also the community and the care and the ability to have a restful, peaceful life with others. And this is what she manifested for herself. Aesthetically, the home itself was airy and beautiful and contained many plants. So, as you can see in the fifth dimension, you may manifest anything that you like. You may create anything. And some will create the dream life that they wanted on earth and were unable to achieve. And some will create something vastly different. And there will be many choices, and you may change your mind and your manifestation at any time. Though Sidi had just begun to awaken her senses before the fifth dimensional change on her planet, she had many skills that she did bring forward into the space of fifth dimension, and they grew. And so part of her life was helping others expand theirs as well. And part of her life was in communities of sharing and healing. It was also feeling almost like a past life because it was so different than how they were living now in this time. And so there was much to unpack, if you will, from that dimensional space of the third dimension and examine and learn from this perspective. For every life that you come in, there is much to learn from. Those of you who leave the third dimension while it is still in third dimension, go through a time with your spirit guides to analyze your life and learn from it. But those of you who have decided to ascend into the fifth dimension in one lifetime will have the chance to go through it and to go deeper into all the things that happened, all the traumas, all the decisions, and objectively understand and assimilate new energies for every little thing, if you wish. This is a part of the fifth dimensional integration time, which is where Sidi was at this time. Let us fast forward. After the transitional time, Sidi worked in a type of city. And this was, as we mentioned earlier, one of the more advanced types of cities that you might see in your sci-fi movies, but with a different feeling to it, of course, a feeling more of peace and higher vibration overall, for we have left the third and fourth dimension, and so it is different. And here, since she has gone through her transition period In the fifth dimension, she is no longer triggered or worried about her past life in a high-rise building or any of the overwork that she did in that third dimensional life. So in this life, she works and helps others in a beautiful way from this place. And her work here is about bringing in others from other dimensions and spaces to come sit in a circle and speak about how they can exchange ideas and begin a new world and how they can improve their worlds and others. And this is, have you guessed it yet, the beginnings of councils such as the Galactic Federation or councils of light that you may know from different places. And this began as a council of light for Sirius. And this was one of the first ones. And so as you can see her transition from third dimensional worker bee in a smog-filled city to fifth dimensional. Of course, there was fourth dimensional layers there as well as with Earth. And then to fifth dimensional transition period with quiet time to integrate the new work, which was to be beginning these councils and these get-togethers, these circles. She worked on the beach to meet and speak with others who wanted a better life for all. And that was her healing and her building of her own life. And then she expanded her skills in her regular life on the other side of this portal or veil she created for herself. And these were circles. And so as you can see how this built into something else. And as her life went on, she eventually came up to the seventh dimension before she transitioned out to begin again somewhere else. This was a very long life. She lived over 400 Earth years, and yet it was very interesting and fulfilling. She learned much, and she went on to take that information and come back as another type of galactic being who now sits on the Galactic Council. Now, there are many galactic councils, but she does sit on one to help others expand their light and improve the universe in her own small way that has much impact on all. For even our smallest improvements make a ripple out into the universe that lasts forever. So every small thing that you do to improve yourself ripples out. And every small thing that you do to help improve another ripples further. I hope this understanding of the fifth dimension and where you might be going is very helpful. And I hope you find it enlightening. I will see you again next time. Another Tales of the Universe by me, Zabayo. Oh. He's so funny. He feels so interesting. He's so smiley, and I like trancing him so much. So I hope you enjoyed this Tales of the Universe with Zabayo. I know I always do, and that really just gave me such a good feeling. I am so excited to know this story, and it feels really helpful. So I hope it felt that way to you. Thank you so much for coming. If you have questions for Zabayo, put them in the comments. If you want to hear any type of other story from him, let me know. This was a story that I asked him to bring forward because someone asked about it. And so I'd love to hear more ideas. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you are a healer or spiritual entrepreneur, present or future, I'd like to invite you to my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions, where I'll be live for more discussion and questions on Thursdays. I'll put the link in the show notes. I'm Rachel Chamness at Sound Waves Heal.